Sit down, strap in, and Granny put your teeth in your pocket. Lead Lap Radio powered by HMS Motorsport, the leader in motorsport safety, starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Lead Lap. And you know, this is going to be an interesting show. We've got a mix of dirt tracking and short tracking and big tracking and road coursing and
every kind of tracking you can think of.
Yeah, it's this is going to be a veritable buffet of motorsports.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yes, so welcome to Lead Lap Radio. The show, of course, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com for all of your driver safety needs. I'm Tom Baker. Joining me inside the Race Chasers studio in Mooresville, North Carolina, Jacob Seelman from Speed Sport, Randy Miller, who hosts the Inside Pass on Wednesday nights. We'll talk more about that during the show. And joining us in the studio for, I think, the first time on this show.
On this show, yes.
On this show, Blake Harris, who has been the host of Southeastern Race Review. And Blake also now has joined us on the Inside Pass on Randy's show on Wednesday, and we're going to be adding Blake into the mix here on Lead Lap as we go forward and want to spend a little more time talking about local racing here in the Carolinas.
We're going to take both shows down.
With that, yeah, exactly. Okay, so with that all being said, we're glad you're with us tonight.
I see that you came back, by the way, and we're now continuing to throw people under the bus. It just wasn't me that time.
That's right.
Well, no,
yeah, it's early, though.
The thing that you should know is that this happens every Wednesday, and you unfortunately don't get to be a part of it. But now you get to see why this works.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
On Wednesday.
Wait, Randy, it actually works?
It does work.
Works.
We've been on
Yes,
for like
it does,
3.
surprisingly.
Well, it's my show, so I can pull it when I want. But we've been on for 3 weeks, and we're actually getting decent guests. So I mean, we're doing something right. So he hasn't ran anybody off yet, so that's a good thing.
They haven't ran me off either, so
No.
it's a win-win situation.
Well, we do, but you keep coming back every week, so it just doesn't work.
So
It's like a boomerang.
While
You
we're
keep coming
having
back.
fun, sometimes it's fun to start with a story. I went around the corner earlier. There's a convenience store on the corner from us to get some refreshment for the show, and I was in line to pay for it, and behind me in line was a father, and it looked to be about maybe a 4 or 5 year old little kid, and the kid was wearing flip-flops and had the flip-flops on the wrong feet.
Oh, no.
So Daddy was patiently explaining to his young son about why they're on the wrong feet and the difference between, you know, how the foot fits on the flip-flop if it's on the right feet and the wrong feet. And
Oh, I can see where this is going.
and the kid looked up at him with a smile and he goes, "Maybe my feet are on backwards." It's like, okay. Everybody in line just cracked right up. The kid
That's
was genuinely confused.
That's awesome.
And that was
So
Blake
that's-
10 years ago.
That was Blake 10
Oh.
years ago.
yeah, I would say that, yes.
So,
There's
so
a reason
yeah.
I wore Velcro shoes growing up.
So I started with something funny, but Stuart Friesen did not start with something funny on Thursday. Actually, I think it would have been.
You want to start?
Friday at Kentucky?
You want to start there when we
Sure.
had a perfectly good battle of the bushes?
Well, you got to go even. You got to go.
You got to start
you
with
gotta
the
go,
trucks.
You got to save the best for last. You got to go truck, Xfinity, then
I'm
Cup.
starting with the
Okay.
trucks
Okay.
Well,
because there's a new book coming out.
yeah. See, you weren't here on Thursday when we started writing that book.
Yeah, but I heard it.
Okay.
There's a new book coming out. It's called How to Lose a Truck Before Practice by Halmar Racing. I don't know what all they must have done to that truck, but all I can say is it had to be pretty doggone nasty for NASCAR to say, "Give to Daddy," before we even put it on the racetrack.
I have some understanding from some inside sources as to at least some of the wares that things were wrong. My understanding is some things were built within that truck where the floorboard was actually built higher than it was supposed to be. which is a definite aerodynamic advantage.
Wow.
The firewall was questionable in spots. I don't know if it was a thickness issue but there was some safety stuff with the firewall that they weren't happy with, and NASCAR basically put it on parade for the entire garage area to see, and basically, more or less said, see this? Don't do this.
Well, that's pretty interesting because back in the day, remember when the Hudson Hornet got introduced into NASCAR, everybody loved that car because the car was lower to the ground. The floorboard was lower to the ground where you stepped in the car. So now that we're getting up higher, kind of changes the aspect of how it's all come full circle. The first thing I thought was, oh, boy, Gary Ballew's back to his old tricks, helping out Stuart Friesen. But Dale Jr. called him out on Twitter, and Gary said he had not touched the truck.
Right. Okay, so my understanding from some inside sources here as far as how this all shook out was that the floor pan of the truck was dropped, and they did some stuff around the truck arms for aero advantages, which in turn led to the floorboards being too high. So one thing led to another, and it was just, it's just all a mess where you guys know how it is. You can't mess with one part of those trucks without something else getting affected along the way.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. I mean, like I said, I knew it had to be something really big.
Yeah.
NASCAR doesn't usually confiscate a vehicle. It takes a pretty, especially pre-race. I mean,
absolutely.
And then of course they went to a backup truck that was perfectly legal. So that would tell me that,
I think it was the same backup truck they've been using for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, so that would tell me that whatever they did specifically for this race, Randy, and
it was
they had to have known it was.
I don't know that it was specific to this race. It was a brand new truck, Randy, that they rolled out. So it could be that they were trying to roll out things they could use for a lot more races, and NASCAR said, no.
Yeah,
exactly.
my question on the whole thing is the safety-wise. I mean, I know we talked on Thursday about how some of those modifications would be deemed completely unsafe. I mean, if he was to hit the wall, with a firewall too thin or whatever, it basically smashed that truck like an accordion. Yeah. So I understand, I understand wanting to take an advantage, although obviously it's illegal and you shouldn't do it. But try, especially with as much competition as we have in all three of the divisions these days. I mean, everybody's wanting to cut corners to make their truck faster to beat these guys that are always consistently up front and winning. But do you sacrifice safety in order to try to get a win? And think, and then another thing is think about NASCAR not being able to see this. I mean, obviously, you're talking about something that's so obvious that they would have found it either way.
Right.
So, I mean, it's probably better for him to go into the race having the truck be repossessed before the race than to go out, win the race, and then get disqualified and then lose points and money and everything else. So, which he still might, but I mean, I figured by now we would have known something if something was going to happen as far as penalties or whatever.
I think that'll be in the next
it's coming.
24
I'm sure it will.
I'm
sure.
I know everybody's kind of hating on that. Hey, he's breaking the rules and all that, but there's a side of me that also kind of likes it. Like I said earlier, Gary Ballou, he had Smokey U and all that. Kind of brings back the old grassroots type of NASCAR. Everybody who was cheating, had all these secret stuff in their car. I know it's against the rules, but I kind of like that the engineers are trying stuff.
Here's the
right.
here's the problem with that, though. I understand what you're saying, Blake, and the old timer in me, I love it too. But in this day and age, with the discotheque and everything else that they got going on, okay, if you're gonna cheat, I mean, it didn't take 5 minutes, and they kind of went, no, like I said, it was give to daddy, that's not. I mean, don't make it obvious.
Oh, no.
I mean, if you're going to try something, at least make them have to look hard for it.
People need to realize that the rules are going to stay where they are. So the more that people cheat, the more harsher these penalties are going to get. So NASCAR is going to keep going, okay. All right, we warned you once. You did it. We gave you this penalty. So the next person that does it is the penalties are going to keep getting stiffer until eventually somebody stops doing it. Because, at one point you're going to be like, okay, well, we're going to park you for the rest of the season, whatever the case may be, in order to prove a point. Don't cheat in NASCAR.
Right. NASCAR doesn't want that anymore. They don't want that kind of thing. And I think technology has come to the point where, there are certain elements of the old days I don't think we should be trying to revisit. I mean, yeah, it was fun, it was cool, and it was sexy, and maybe that's part of the problem and why you're getting. But I also don't think that the younger generation has any, fans like me who remember how cool that was, and you as a youngster who you're a history buff, so you kind of, but the majority of the people don't have any connection to that kind of thought. So everybody wants a level playing field. Let's see who the best driver is.
Blake, you want old school racing? Let's give everybody a jar of moonshine and then send them out on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, that's, because, well.
You also got to have that cigarette in your mouth,
of
smoking
course.
at about 200 miles an hour.
Yes, yes, let's go for it.
Only
One-handed
if
racing
you're
at
Dick
200 miles per
Trickle
hour.
or David Pearson.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's again, it was an interesting scenario. And then no sooner did we start to get a handle on that, and the next day, Austin Cindric got popped. The 22 car, not Cindric himself.
Hashtag illegal body modification.
Yes, and they didn't confiscate that car, so apparently
no, they didn't.
it wasn't
They just
quite
penalized
as bad
him.
as,
No, they just penalized him on the spot.
Yeah.
10 driver and owner points. Brian Wilson got thrown out for the weekend, and I feel like there was something else. 10 grand. Thank you. I knew there was a fine there somewhere.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's that wasn't as severe, but I love that NASCAR is trying to crack down. I think it's good that they're doing that. We're in a day and age where it's real easy from a technology standpoint to outspend somebody else and to try to, to cheat through financial means. And I think it's good that NASCAR is trying to keep the playing field level. So we'll talk about the actual racing when we come back, because we did have a first-time winner in the Truck Series race. We'll get to the Cup race eventually before the show is done. We're going to talk some dirt. We're going to talk Indy. We're going to do a lot of things here before we're finished. Stick around. We're just getting started. You're listening to or watching Lead Lap, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. We'll be back right after this.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, Recording Artists Against Drunk Driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
Hi, I'm Ben Rhodes, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Welcome back to Lead Lap.
You know, that's funny. Didn't he run out of gas on Friday night?
No, he had a flat tire.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I was going to say, well, he probably did walk about 500 miles, but
A bad
no,
tire.
he did. Dang, I wish he would have run out of gas now because that joke would have been funny.
Thursday night,
Well,
not Friday
save
night.
that,
Thursday, sorry.
And if he runs out of gas, we'll let you bring it back.
Yes.
Just keep
That'd
it
be
in your,
awesome.
Yeah, keep it in your head.
Not that I'm hoping he runs out of gas because he needs a win. I'm just saying.
Oh, he needs to win bad, especially considering.
Especially now because somebody turned the whole entire thing upside down.
Yeah, somebody like we predicted, by the way. High five.
Yes, and I called it because if you follow me on Facebook, Tyler had posted something about the race that night, and I actually sent him a comment underneath saying, I feel like tonight is your night. And his mom actually said, looks like you got it right. I said, I did. Thank you very much.
Well, the thing that's cool for me, and I'll go around the table, everybody can share their thoughts, and we'll get Chris Murdoch, our producer, in on this too, if you'd like. The thing that's cool for me about Tyler Ankrum winning this race is not only does it give him a chance to now run for the championship, which his sponsorship situation
desperately needed
because he didn't have enough sponsorship to run all of the rest of the races. So, this was a situation where the win now puts him in the playoffs, and now hopefully it could translate to some sponsor dollars. My hope is that if all else fails, David Gilliland and or Toyota will come up with some sort of way, because he has an excellent shot at the Final Four, in my opinion. And this is going to be my question to go around the table with, and you can elaborate on your thoughts on Tyler's win if you'd like. Is Tyler Ankrum now does he have a legitimate shot, or what is his strategy or pathway to run for the championship here, given his situation? And I'll start with Randy, then go to Jacob.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so for me, as much as I don't want to downplay Tyler's win, he did win on the fact that a lot of people ran out of gas. So I don't think it was I don't think it was I know, but I don't think it was the dominant win, or at least the say nothing win that he needed to have in order for them to go, you know what? Okay, now you are in direct competition with the Grant Enfingers and the Thorsport guys and everybody who has actually been consistent the entire season. Now, not saying that he does have a legitimate shot because he is now in the playoffs, but I feel like they need to use that momentum to make him better, make him faster, because I still don't think they're right where they need to be in terms of being able to compete with Thorsport.
I'm not sure
and some of
I
those bigger
quite
guys.
agree with that all the way, but
Thank
Jacob?
you. Permission to dispute Randy with numbers.
Granted.
Oh, Lord.
All right.
But minimize the numbers.
I need to at least go through a few numbers on Ankrum's part, because Randy, I'm not sure what race you were watching, but to me, number one, Tyler Ankrum led the most laps.
Okay.
Number two, Brett Moffitt got out ahead of him on a strategy call that didn't work. Number three, when Ankrum got out front of the field on speed alone at the start of the final stage, he ran off and left after Ben Rhodes couldn't stay with him. Okay. I don't buy at all that he wasn't the dominant truck in the second half of that race. He got what he rightfully should have gotten by winning because Brett ran out of fuel. Brett tried to steal it from him, and it didn't work. That 17 truck, to me, was in fact the truck that should have won that race and did win that race. Keep in mind that this is a continuation of speed on intermediate tracks. He had the third at Texas. He had another really solid run at Chicagoland that wasn't reflected in the box score, and he won now last time out at Kentucky. That team's intermediate program is bang up right now. The only thing I'm nervous about, and to answer your original question, I don't know what his path is to the championship right now, because even David Gilliland said after that race, even with this, we don't know for sure that we can run him the rest of the year. They've got work to do. His pathway to a championship is scraping together more sponsor dollars.
Whoa. Is there an echo? I feel like we was having this same conversation last year with the Hattori Racing number 16 machine.
Because we did.
Exactly.
This is the new Hattori.
So I'm feeling like Tyler still has been strong. I kind of see the same traits that he's not as strong as Hattori was last year. But I feel like with him going into the playoffs, a lot more people tune into the playoffs. I feel like sponsorship, like it did with Hattori last year, becomes more involved and wants to get themselves on TV on that winning truck. Well, and like he said, Tyler has been strong all year. He's been, in my opinion, one of the most underrated drivers in the Truck Series, having that third at Texas that was overshadowed by Biffle, like you made very clear on that episode right after that win. But I feel like Tyler, he may not be your champion at the end of the year, but I have a pretty good shot he will make a huge run to try and get into Homestead.
Chris, what's your take?
I will say that I do agree with Blake, and this is sort of a carbon copy of what we had with Hattori last year. And I would be shocked, especially with the sponsor that he had on the hood being the first time on the car and he goes out and wins. I wouldn't be too shocked to see Academy back on the truck again this year. I think Toyota has to do. It's just like the K&N situation he had last year.
Yeah.
They didn't have the full season shut out, but Toyota and DGR pulled funds together and had him run. So if they have a shot at a truck championship, especially in their first full season, DGR's first full truck season?
Yeah.
No, they ran the full season last year just with a myriad of drivers.
I was going to say, it's the first time they've run a driver or attempted to for a full season.
So I think Toyota and DGR have to come up with something.
Yeah.
They're not going to give this one away.
Does all the other trucks have sponsorship for the rest of the year?
They had most everything already sold. That's the problem.
Would it be a situation where they would park a truck a week to take that money to put into Tyler's truck to make sure he made? Because now, of all the DGR drivers, he's guaranteed a spot now where everybody else isn't.
Contractually, I don't think you could do that though if you've already sold the inventory.
Yeah, you can't. If it's another driver's funding.
Could they put him in another truck? I mean, it's driver points, not necessarily.
If somebody steps up with money, I don't think they're just going to throw money at it willy-nilly.
Well, here's my take on it. Toyota needs to, and I'm going to tell you why they do. There's two reasons. Number one, this kid is one of the hottest, most marketable properties in the truck series right now, and I would argue in all of NASCAR's series. This is a kid who everybody likes. He's a kid who he checks all the boxes of being a sponsor's dream. He shows up at the shop. He helps out on the vehicles. The kid is a farmer. He's basically the closest thing right now to sort of a down-home country boy that we've got right now that in the development pipeline for NASCAR. Toyota needs to step up, and they need to give him a shot, number one, because he's Toyota's best chance at a truck championship.
Right, and what does he do after he gets what's he do after he gets the win? He goes to a sponsor's location over here in Mooresville and buys a grill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, this is a kid, because the Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks at the rate they're going, unless somebody pulls a surprise in the next 5 races.
3 races.
Is there only 3 left? I thought we had 5.
No, 3 races left before
the playoffs. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, 3 before the playoffs. So you go into a situation where, I don't think either of these trucks are going to make it. I don't think Harrison Burton's going to make it. I don't think Todd Gilliland's going to make it. And if they make it, they're going to limp in, and they're not going very far. They don't have the speed right now, and I don't think the drivers are ready. Tyler Ankrum is Toyota's best shot at winning a championship. But here's the other thing. He's also going to be a driver who everybody's looking at. And if Toyota would like to keep him, then they better step up and do something to prove it. Or
I think that's the hard part.
At some point down the line, he may go elsewhere.
That's the hard part because Tyler Ankrum, before he ended up, pulling off a championship run in the K&M Pro Series East last year, Tyler wasn't even a designated Toyota Racing Development driver. He's
still really not.
I was going to say he's still really not.
That's what I'm saying.
To me, it's hilarious that a non-official TRD driver, for lack of a better term, went out and won DGR Crosley's first truck race before any of the other actual TRD drivers in the program were able to do. It's great for Tyler, by the way.
And I think it's funny that with this win, he bumps the 2 actual TRD drivers out of the playoffs.
Well, Todd Gilliland was already out. He did bump Harrison Burton currently, but
Harrison has a chance to get back in,
Harrison, especially if Stuart Friesen gets a pretty hefty points penalty
I think
here.
he's going to be the Burger King. It's going to be a Whopper.
The rule book has anywhere from 10. The type of penalty that this would fall in the category of has a range anywhere from 10 to 40 points that can be deducted, and if he takes a 40-point hit, that puts Harrison within 15 or 20 points of a shot at the playoffs. So it's not over. Now, let me tell you something really crazy that Matt Weaver and I have been discussing off and on since Thursday night. Believe it or not, and this is not something that Fox Sports picked up on, so they actually kind of misled a little bit. There is still a scenario in which Tyler Ankrum can miss the Truck Series playoffs despite having a win. He is not locked into the playoffs yet.
Is he top 20 and does he have a win?
Yes,
then
but
he's locked in.
No, he's not.
I went over the rule book yesterday.
Hey, Chris, I know that. There's one rule that everybody's forgetting about. If the regular season champion is winless, the regular season champion bumps the lowest driver in points with a win. That is correct. NASCAR confirmed that today. If the regular season champion it's the regular season champion plus the next 7 drivers in points with a win, regardless of whether they're winless or not.
I'm glad there's a wall separating me and Chris.
I didn't even know that was even a rule.
Yes, it was a rule from the very beginning when they went to the stage points format.
I guess it's never been mentioned because the
season
champion has always won a race.
Yes, that's correct. It's never been mentioned because the regular season champion has never been winless in any of the top 3 series.
Well, and here's what's interesting is as of going into the weekend, Grant Empfinger was the points leader.
Correct.
Yes.
And he is winless.
Hold on. Yes, and he hadn't won a race. Well, he also didn't win a race on Thursday either because he pulled a nasty bonehead move.
Tyler wouldn't be the lowest guy in points though because he's won a race.
For the Grant thing to happen, Grant thing to happen, 8 drivers would have to win.
No, 7 drivers. Well, yes, and there's 3 races left, and 5 drivers have already won. 5 Truck Series regulars have already won.
I don't think you see 3 new drivers.
I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a
He's
guarantee.
Just putting the possibility out
but
there that
I'm saying until a non-regular or a driver who's already won wins one more time, until that happens, Tyler Ankrum is not locked in because all it would take is Ross Chastain jumping ahead of Tyler in points and Tyler to be the lowest driver with a win if the regular season champion's winless.
But I also feel like there still is, that's another possibility along with that sponsorship deal, but I also feel like the sponsorship deal will work itself out.
I hope so.
But because there is this one thing that everyone loves in sports, and that is an underdog, and I feel like Ankrum is the underdog that can lead them into the promised land.
I hope so. All right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, more conversation, plenty more from Kentucky to talk about, and we've got all kinds of things left to discuss as Lead Lap continues, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves a majority of NASCAR, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schubert helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Valero fireproof underwear, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the staff at HMS is always ready to take the time and help you find the right product for your specific safety needs. You have family and friends who care about you, so don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Just stop in to HMS Motorsport, visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com, or send them a message on Facebook. Tell them the folks from Race Chaser Media sent you.
What an awesome game. What's up with your car? I don't know. It won't start. How are we getting home? Chill. My parents signed me up for the roadside assistance from Lewis Meineke. It was free with my oil change. They'd come and get the car started or get us home and tow the car to the shop.
Good to know. With my driving, my parents never know what to expect.
When you join the Meineke Car Care Club with a $35 preferred service, you get 4 free months of roadside assistance, including tire change, battery jump, lockout service, towing, and more. Contact Lewis Meineke, located on Route 1, or call 827-2054.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family-owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Hey, I'm Brennan Poole, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Well, welcome back to Lead Lap Radio and TV, if you want to think of it that way, because we are live on both PMN Radio. If you are getting us through Twitch, our twitch.tv channel, and you want to listen to the show for whatever reason at some point, you can do so by downloading the free PMN, that's Performance Motorsports Network app, for your device, and you'll be able to listen to us. But, of course, if you'd rather watch us, then we're glad that you're with us on Twitch. Okay, we'll talk Xfinity here in this segment because I feel like this was, last week we were all talking about the big three. Everything's the big three. Well, it's still the big three.
It is.
Nothing changed.
Nobody 1, 2, 3.
Nobody saw nobody paid close enough attention to see what I did on the reentries.
I saw what you did on the reentries. I heard what you did on the reentries. I did not see it. It was very good.
That
Chris.
little devil laugh.
Get you a pat on the back.
But nobody's going to mention the fact that Ben Rhodes was butthurt at Brennan Poole for no reason.
Well, all right. I was going to save that for the lightning round, but okay. Since you brought it up, we'll talk about that first.
That still wasn't the best argument of the weekend.
So, yeah.
So I think Jacob and Chris just took that whole thing. Took the whole cage.
They don't have shirts being made, which is on the way to my
How do you know
mailbox
they
right
don't?
now.
I wasn't really arguing. I know what I read.
That wasn't an argument. Well, that was a hat trick. That's what that was. We'll talk about that too later. But okay, let's talk about Ben Rhodes. Since Chris brought it up, we'll go there. So apparently, Ben Rhodes wasn't too happy with the way he was driven by Brendan Poole during the race, and I can't really blame him. Ben approached Brendan Poole after the race and wanted to inflict some bodily harm on the boy, I do believe.
But the only bad thing that's going for Ben right now is he's no bigger than a minute. So the team member just picked him up and carried him.
He may not be, but his muscles pretty hard.
Ben's had some boxing training, and I believe he's also had a little bit of UFC kind of training as well. So Ben may be rather small in stature, but I do believe that Ben would have taken quite good care of himself with Brennan. And what I thought was the most interesting part of that whole thing, which really amounted to very little because they were separated before it got anywhere it really shouldn't, was that Ben's crew guy or whoever said to him, "It's not worth it." Ben said, "Oh, it's going to be worth it." Which is not a typical Ben Rhodes response. I mean, Ben doesn't, Ben gets angry at himself faster than he gets angry at other drivers.
So as a UFC fighter or MMA fighter.
It's kind of one of those situations where for me, it was a little unexpected. And I think Ben is just, at this point, the season for him has been so frustrating.
Yep.
Because they've been fast. They've been fast.
I mean, last year was the same thing.
Yeah, but they haven't been able to win. Last year they won. They haven't been able to win this year. And it's not because Ben can't win or the truck can't win. They just haven't been able to close the deal. And so, of course, Kentucky being his home track, basically, and, he wanted to win. I just thought it was an interesting situation, and I'm thankful, honestly, that it didn't develop into anything more than just what it was, because that would have been worse for Ben.
The last thing Ben needs is a penalty.
Right, exactly. So I'm hoping that he'll kind of look at that and realize, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
It's two guys who have gotten this far into the season. Ben hasn't won. His truck compared to the other Motorsport trucks maybe is a step down from the other three.
I don't think it's a step down at all.
Well, but I mean,
he's been fast.
But like you said, he hasn't won a race yet.
Bad luck.
So.
And since we're talking about arguments and scuffs, do we want to talk about the hissy fit Natalie Decker threw against Spencer
I was going to
Boyd?
save all this for the lightning round, but now, I mean, we might as well. So, all right, I'm just going to go around the table. Now, and I'll preface this by explaining for those who may have been under a rock or just don't pay attention to NASCAR. Natalie Decker and Spencer Boyd had a situation on the racetrack. Spencer came up when he wasn't clear and wrecked Natalie Decker. And Natalie, who had been wrecked the week before as well by Todd Gilliland.
At least it's starting to be not her fault.
Again, I think, here's the deal. I get tired of people with Natalie Decker because everybody's piling on Natalie for this situation, and was she, Decker on the record, blah blah blah. It's like, look, they made fun of her for taking the hat off and tossing it. Here's the deal: if Chase Elliott or Kyle Busch or whoever does this, yay!
what is she going to do? She's a female approaching.
Yeah, Natalie Decker
Chamberlain threw a punch at Bowman Gray this weekend, and
she ended up in jail.
Yep, that was a thing.
Wait, I need to hear that story. We'll get to that in a minute. I missed that. So, anyways, Natalie approaches Spencer after the race, and I guess she didn't like his response, so she takes his hat off and throws it on the ground. And so, of course, Spencer, who is a really smart marketing representative for himself, by the way, That's his degree. He goes and immediately has T-shirts made with an upside-down hat.
Got one on the way in the mail
So,
right
You
now.
everybody's ordering these things.
It's great.
Here's the question.
Well, it is. All the benefits does go to Wounded Warriors and other charities, too. So.
Right, exactly. He's doing it for a good cause, but he was smart enough to jump on it. Here's the question. I'll start with Blake this time, and we'll go to Jacob, and then Randy, and then Chris. Question is, are you with Natalie Decker? Does she have a legitimate case or not? Yes or no?
Of course. Spencer come up off the apron and right up into her and basically took both of them out. I am on Natalie's side 100% on this because Spencer was about half a truck behind Spencer, and Spencer just come up on her. I feel like this was completely Spencer's fault. And Natalie, I think, could have done more, but she had a reason to flip the hat off, yes.
Jacob, you buying or selling Natalie's hissy fit?
I'm buying it all day. Yes, I've been a little critical of her in some situations this year because she's had her fair share of issues is what I was trying to say. Now I'm having my fair share of issues. But
hey, we're not to the reboot segment yet.
We haven't mentioned my computer career. Hang on. Go ahead.
But good grief. Spencer, what were you thinking, dude? Like, there was a truck there.
Was there even a spotter in his ear at that point?
Well,
I'm not sure.
See,
honestly,
this is the question. One of them was lying. It was either Spencer or the spotter, but one of them was lying.
I'm not sure which one it was, but either way, yes, Natalie. Yes, Natalie had a gripe. That was as blatant as day. I'm sorry,
Randy.
Yes, she does. She does definitely have a legitimate gripe, but I'm disappointed that all it ended was a hat flip. Because if I was her, I would have slapped the living out of Spencer Boyd for that. Because he ain't gonna fight back. It's a girl. Just slap him and walk away. That's the ultimate.
He was laughing the whole time she did it too.
She would have been laughing if she would have slapped the taste out of his mouth. I guarantee you that. There wouldn't have been a marketing ploy for that because there's no T-shirt in the world with a slap to the face that's going to win you some money for charity. So
there was Tyler Erb in the jail cell for
don't
slapping
care.
Hudson.
I still would have slapped the taste out of his mouth.
No, we're not going there. Chris, you buying or selling?
I'm totally buying it, and here's why. Because I think these past 2 weeks have proven it a little bit. It's just I don't think people really take her seriously in the media as fans and really even drivers because, I mean, the week before, like you mentioned, Tom, Todd Gilliland just drove straight through her like she wasn't even there.
Right.
And then Boyd just clear enoughed himself up and into her and just took it. They're not taking her serious. They're just pushing her out of the way and moving right along. And that's not the way you handle it. Yes, like Jacob, we've ragged on her a little bit because I think we can all agree at the start of this year she came into it really, really green. But she's starting to find her own. She's knocking off top 15 finishes. She's running better. But now that she's running up there with those guys, they just run her over like she's not even there.
Well, and that's my problem with this is I think right now that she's – look, she came into the truck series, and I try to explain this to people. She did not make that choice. That choice of where she was going to race this year was made for her. So she was not prepared to be at the truck level. That was very obvious. But she's learned. She's getting better. Now, obviously the way she reacts to an adverse situation and the way, any of us would react are a little different. We can talk about how mentally tough this has been for her up to now, and that's a whole other discussion we can have. We cannot question the fact that she's gotten better over the last 3 or 4 races. And, it's no different if she's in the truck than anybody else is in the truck. And, I'm a huge fan of Spencer Boyd. He's a friend of mine, and I'm certainly not. I'm only saying it was clearly his fault. I mean, either the spotter cleared him when he shouldn't have or Spencer cleared himself. But either way, # not clear. Right. So, I am totally saying that she had every right in the world to walk up and talk to him. And as I think Randy said, Spencer's lucky that was Natalie Decker and not somebody like Johnny Sauter because I think
He'd have been on a
something
2-week
more
vacation.
than his hat might have gotten flipped in that situation.
Well, here's the thing, because like Chris was saying, people are not taking her seriously enough, and they're running over her on the racetrack.
Right.
So being somebody who used to race dirt cars, I know Blake still races, Tom, you used to race too. You guys, we all know you have to make people listen to you. You have to make people pay attention to you. You have to make people go, I'm not going to take your crap. I'm going to wreck you if you try to wreck me. It's a 2 for 2, whatever. So if she is getting frustrated because they are wrecking her or they're trying to take her out every week, then start being aggressive on the racetrack, or at least being more aggressive on the racetrack, and letting these guys know that I'm going to be one of you. I'm going to be just like one of the guys instead of being a girl. Treat me like a guy or another racer instead of like a girl.
Yep.
You got to be more aggressive, especially not to bring up the gender thing, but a lot of people. There's still a lot of people I don't think she's kind of tough enough to be running this, but we've seen this in the past. Not to bring back old history buffing myself. First lady in NASCAR, Lee Smith, out there running with people, getting bumped around. Junior Johnson comes up to her and says, see that point on the bumper? You hit them right there, and you can cut them a flip. Then they'll take you seriously. She started doing that, and that's basically how she started running with everybody, too.
That's, Natalie definitely needs to. I think she had every right to go up there and do what she did. And with that, we're going to step aside. We will talk Xfinity in the next segment. We'll get back to that because I want to talk about Cole Custer and the Big Three right around the turn. You are listening to or watching Lead Lap, and we'll be right back.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Cole Custer, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
That's fantastic.
Look who it is.
I was going to, that's awesome because we delayed Cole Custer for a segment.
Why do you think I brought up the fights?
Cole Custer.
Yes.
Why do you think I prolonged the other segment?
See,
I kept us on track.
Yeah, see, Chris knows exactly what he's doing over there. Chris Murdoch on the production, folks. And we'll resume Lead Lap by talking Xfinity and about Cole Custer, who I believe, and I'm going to see if these guys agree with me or not. They probably won't because they rarely do. I believe Cole Custer re-emphasized my belief from last week that he, in fact, is the guy that you got to go through if you're going to win the championship. The question becomes, Randy Miller, do you agree or disagree with me?
Absolutely. And I was going to say that if we hadn't talked about it, I feel like this is that win was Cole Custer's way of saying, my championship, come take it from me.
Okay. Jacob, agree or disagree?
Until Friday night, I would have disagreed. Friday night, however, in that performance, well, not even a performance, that
domination. Yeah.
Spanking.
I was gonna.
This
well,
segment brought to you by my computer
I
care.
was gonna be. No, they interrupted me. I was gonna.
But nobody was talking. But yeah, we interrupted
I think
him.
they corrupted you.
Whatever.
Your file is corrupted.
Whatever. No.
We'll
well,
reboot you during the break.
I was trying to debate whether I could say it, and I'm going to be Southern and say it because that was an ass kicking, is what that was.
There we
you can
go.
say that.
Yes, that was that. And until the ass kicking that he put on the field there, I would not have said Cole Custer's the favorite. However, when Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, after that race, say that they recognize Cole Custer is the championship favorite right now, I'm inclined to agree with them. Just a little bit. That was total domination. It wasn't even close.
I will be a little more PG. I will agree that was a genuine whooping, yes. But also, I feel like Christopher Bell is too, but I feel like Cole, out of everybody, is racing for a cup ride next year. I feel like he is the one that's possibly being looked at by cup teams, and we've talked about this
Cole?
in the past. Yes.
He's already got his cup team.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like with contract situations coming up this winter, I feel like Cole was more determined to prove himself, get this championship, and move up next season.
Chris?
I disagree. I still think this championship goes through Tyler Reddick. He's being humble when he says he recognizes Cole Custer as the championship favorite. But I will tell you this, one person that should be scared, that 20 car of Christopher Bell, because he's been sort of lackluster recently.
I told you.
And he did not go on a sweep like somebody was predicting.
He won a stage, I think, right? I think he won
yes, but if you flash back to last year, these 3 races, he sweeped him. And he's already
swept.
No, I like sweeped better. Let's go with that.
Listen here,
Let's
Barney.
just sweep our grammar under the floor here.
I like sweeped better.
It's like my 7-year-old.
Listen here, Barney.
He sweeped him.
With your little lavender T-shirt.
You know what? Carrying mean shirt. Okay. Yes. So, I honestly don't think there's any room for debate here at the moment. Reddick has cooled off a little bit. It's not to say that he still isn't going to win another race or two or whatever, but right now I think this is Cole Custer's championship. For the moment, I think he's in control. He is the best car right now from week to week to week on every different type of track. And I think it's amazing, honestly. I don't think any of these 3 winning the championship will change their fortune as to where they're going next year at all.
I think it's an interesting time in the Xfinity Series because the big 3 right now, as it looks right now, have predestined cup rides. Reddick's going to RCR, Bell's going to Gibbs, and for the foreseeable future,
I wouldn't say
Custer is going to go to Stuart Haas. So I think this is. I mean, I don't think they're really fighting for cup rides because I think they all know where they're going.
In the future, yes. I don't believe that it's a lock that Bell goes to Cup next year. I don't believe that it is a complete lock that Tyler Reddick goes to Cup next year, though it appears that Richard Childress would like for that to happen. But there's been no
I'm just
announcement.
Saying in a big picture sense.
In the big picture sense,
lot of
that
them
was
are,
my
are,
point.
Are predestined.
Yeah, they know
where they're going.
Yes, they just may not know when, and Custer may go through a satellite team and then to Stuart Haas or whatever the deal. But they know where they're going. So it is an interesting time because none of them really, I feel like, are auditioning. They're just flat out racing for wins and a championship.
And I think that's the good part about this season, Randy, because there's no pressure. They're just going out there and, all right, well, we know our plan. We've had our team meetings about our plan for the future. Now let's just go out there and knock off some wins and championships.
I feel like after Friday night, Cole Custer's racing for a win. Everybody else is racing for second because he pretty much just said, you know what?
But I don't see that happening every week.
No, it's not an every week
thing. Obviously, they're going to. I do think that Reddick will win another, win more, and I think Chris Bell will win more. But, everybody was talking about, these next 3 tracks, Chris Bell swept them last year. Well, that's last year.
Now,
this is a new year.
Here's a question for the table, and I want to start with Barney. Do you see another winner coming in? Do you see another winner stepping up before the end of the regular season that's not the big 3?
I mean, you've got some tracks where I feel like it might be possible. I mean, there's still road course races on the table, and we all know that the road course races have garnered really weird winners the last few years. So it's possible. But, I mean, those top 3 guys are going to be hard to beat, but I feel like maybe, Cindric or who am I missing? Oh, my Lord.
Allgaier.
I don't think Junior Motorsports is. Allgaier's not going to win.
Hold on. You said you don't think Junior Motorsports. Hang on a second, because there's going to be a driver in the 8 that's going out there with nothing to lose.
Well, at Darlington, yes.
For the road course, 2 of the road course races.
Oh, I was thinking Junior at Darlington, too.
Regan Smith.
That's true.
The question, I think, revolved around the road courses, and could that have any impact? And yes, I absolutely think Regan Smith could come in and win. Now, I think Austin Cindric's the guy of the regulars.
I was going to say Regan doesn't apply, though, because he's not – that doesn't affect the playoffs.
Chase Briscoe is who I was thinking about.
It could take a chance to win away from one of the playoff contenders.
It took me 20 minutes,
but Cindric is – I think the guy that you look at that could steal the show on a road course, because that's kind of his forte. And if we could get Kaz Gralla on a road course in that 21 car, I think Kaz another one that could, but I don't know what's on his schedule for the rest of the year after Loudon.
I'm
excited to see him run Loudon.
I agree with Cindric on the road course, but I'm also going to put in a dude who's got more momentum than anybody, and I feel like Colleague Racing is on a step up. I put Justin Haley in a conversation of possibly getting a win by the end of the year, too.
Justin's a good road course racer, too, and I hadn't thought about that.
Is Herbst in the 18 for some of the road courses? Because he runs a lot of Trans Am stuff.
I don't know. I don't know what the schedule for that is. We'll have to look at that. But, yeah, the road courses are always good to shake things up in the Xfinity Series.
Like Jeremy Clements we've seen perfectly.
I mean, that's a good example. I think this year has been fun in Xfinity for exactly the reason that we all have pointed out. There's really no – it's not like we're auditioning anything. We're just going out – and this is a classic battle between really, really talented young racers who are just going out every week trying to win the championship. They're not worried about next year. This has no effect on their future. Their future's already predestined. So I think it's great.
But doesn't that make them better, though, in the long run? I mean, because when you're talking about guys who are out there trying to audition for rides, it puts them under so much pressure because they know they have to go out and win. But these 3 guys know that they're going to go to Cup at some point, whether it's next year or 2021 or whatever. Then they're going out there and they're basically just having fun. Like, where does that? I mean, not necessarily having fun, but they're out there not with the pressure of going, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do, so now I can go out there and just concentrate on getting the wins and winning the championship.
And I also think another interesting thing to add to this, Tom, is that Christopher Bell signed with Joe Gibbs next year, but he and the people inside are the only ones that really know where he's going.
Well, this is what I was saying. We don't know that Chris Bell for sure is going to Cup next year. That has not been determined, and I'm not convinced that that's necessarily going to happen at this point. However, he knows that he's with Gibbs. As long as he wants to be in the family, he's going to get there. If he's patient enough to run another year, maybe 2 in Xfinity, perhaps, and that's what he decides to do, then he'll get to Cup at a Gibbs car eventually. The other 2 guys have their teams also already predestined, and for that matter, so does Austin Cindric.
And for me, with the whole Bell organization, there are only a few teams that aren't Gibbs that he would actually look at, because he still wants to drive the dirt car. He still wants to go run Chili Bowl every year.
Well,
I just don't see how if you in the back of your mind, if you're thinking I'm going to be with Joe Gibbs Racing long term, why would you only sign a 1-year contract?
Because I feel like they don't know what he's going to do yet
next
year.
This is why I say I'm not convinced he's going to run in Cup, because he signed a 1-year deal, and I think because he really sold to Bob Pockris how much he loves running Xfinity, is happy to be in Xfinity, loves the package, cars are fun to drive, all that. He was doing a really good job of convincing either Bob Pockris or himself, or maybe both, that the Xfinity Series is okay if that's where they want to keep him for another season. And so I think this is a wild card, and I'm going to tell you another wild card that has nothing to do with Toyota, but could play into the whole sort of young driver and development and where drivers go. It came out over the weekend that Paul Menard may retire after 2020, which would open up the Wood Brothers car again. And something tells me that Ford, who has been real quiet in this whole sort of driver development thing other than Briscoe, Ford may make a play for some folks. And because they're going to have some room to move and place and do all of that starting, next year or the year after. So
if Menard retires after 2020, there's only one driver that's going in that spot, paging Austin Cindric.
Well, see, I don't, he may, but he's going to be short-lived because Austin's not going to stay there long. Austin's going over to the big organization at some point. I would guess maybe in the two.
Roger doesn't want to run. Well, Brad's still relatively young. He's not retiring anytime soon, and Roger has said expressly he doesn't want to run 4 cars in-house.
Well, then it'll be interesting to see what happens because I can't see any more than I can see Custer being in a satellite car very long. I can't see Austin Cindric being in a satellite car for long, maybe a year or two. But it's just interesting because Ford has been the quiet one up to now, and they don't really have a lot of drivers. Somewhere along the way, Ford's going to start making a play, I think, for some of these drivers that are up in other people's pipelines. So it's going to get interesting to see where that goes. We're going to step aside, and when we come back, we'll talk Cup because we did have a battle royal on the track between two brothers, and one of them wasn't too happy after the race. Can you guess which one? We'll tell you about it right after this on Lead Lap. We'll continue.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up! You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math and science person. No problem, and no excuses, because it's not rocket science. It's My Computer Career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that help me prepare for challenges I would face as a Cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Hi, I'm NASCAR driver William Byron. You're listening to Motorsports Madness on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to Lead Lap. radio and TV. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman. We've got Blake Harris over there, Randy Miller next to me on my left, and Chris Murdoch over in the tech shed punching all the buttons to keep us on both platforms, both twitch.tv and also PMN Radio. And we continue with our second hour. I'll tell you another quick story. I was up in New York over the weekend to go to Oswego Speedway for the first time to watch the Super Modifieds run this year. But I ended up getting an opportunity to go to Utica Rome Speedway the night before on Friday to watch the Tony Stewart's Sprint Car Series, the All-Stars and All-Star Circuit of Champions, and Tony was racing. And
of course he was.
So here's the story. So they come out on the front stretch to draw for the dash.
Mm-hmm.
Dale Blaney draws number 8, worst number you could possibly draw. So he's going to start at the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's next up to draw. So Tony thought it would be funny if he had Dale draw for him. So Dale reaches into the little bag to pull out the number. What do you think he pulls?
7.
1.
Oh.
And so, of course, Dale throws it on the ground, just pretending that he's mad, and Tony jumps right in his arms, gives him a back. The crowd was laughing.
That's awesome.
And Tony just ran away with the dash. Ended up finishing second in the feature.
That was
behind Aaron Reitzel.
At this point right now,
Or
in all
Pretzel, as a couple of people actually called him the other night.
Ron.
Yeah, Aaron Pretzel. Can you imagine? REUTZEL.
Sounds like something you can get off
and
of
it's
this
pretzel.
Sweets.
I mean, come
It's
on,
a
people.
joke.
This is a
Right.
fantastic
No,
driver, by
it
the way.
actually was. There was actually one media up there that wrote the story.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
actually really Aaron Pretzel.
I can't.
And by
even-
the way, one of
wow.
our friends, Justin Peck, really strong third place run.
Well,
in that race.
I said when he hooked up with Pete Grove that pairing was going to be dangerous, and they're starting to gel. They believe it's going to take a few weeks, probably till after the Nationals, before they're comfortable, enough. But
boy, he
they're
looked
getting
okay
there.
the other
Yeah.
day.
No, Utica Rome's a good place though for him. It's kind of the style of racing it takes there really suits Justin. I felt like I was watching that race on the pay-per-view the other night, and it was cool to see him run well. My response to Tony running second at Utica Rome is, at this point in All-Star Circuit of Champions competition, running second to Aaron Reitzel is basically like running second to Kyle Busch in an Xfinity race.
Yeah.
You are best in class because there's nobody beating Aaron Reitzel right now.
And I will tell you that Tony was having more fun the other night. He is just loving doing the sprint car thing.
Of course he is.
It is a completely different Tony Stewart. And they put on a great show. It was a really good race. I want to thank Bill Shea and the staff at Utica Rome for welcoming me on Friday night. That was a lot of fun. It was the first time I've been to Utica Rome in a couple of years, and first time I've ever seen the All-Star Ollie's All-Star Circuit of
Champions.
Ollie's. You know this better than I do.
Okay, longest series name in sprint car
Yeah.
racing right
Let's
now.
get the dirt guys in
History.
here.
The Ollie's Bargain Outlet All-Star Circuit of
There
Champions
we go.
presented by Mobile One. Blake Anderson, eat your heart out.
There you go.
I can do it right.
What he said. Anyways, it was the first time seeing that series for me, and they really put on and they just destroyed the track record.
Of course they did. You
the
expected any less?
The track record was set in like 2012, and the All-Stars have been there twice, but never under Bill Shea's ownership. So this was the first time back, and they were already talking about next year before
yeah.
I left on Friday. So I'm
That's what I'm
excited to.
talking
Hopefully,
about.
I'll get to go back again. That was fun. Anyway, Cup Series. So we had a battle between two brothers, and you know what? I think everybody in NASCAR had been waiting for this to happen for so long since the All-Star deal in Charlotte, where they ended up, wrecking.
I've been waiting for it to happen since Bristol earlier this year.
Well, yeah, I mean since Bristol, but I feel like even Bristol wasn't necessarily the same, as this per se.
Kurt said he was going to wreck him at Bristol.
Well, yeah,
so
but
he just couldn't get there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This actually came down to the two of them, and I'm shocked it took all these years to make it happen. But Kurt was not going to be denied. And it was so cool to see him win that race and to see him light up, literally. I mean, here's a guy who signed with Ganassi this year, and I think everybody thought, and even I think Kurt thought, that it could be one and done.
Not anymore.
But, but he came out of the box strong, and the team has basically done this all year long. Matt McCall, they've been getting better, and had a couple of chances to win. Obviously, Daytona was a good motivator because they could have won that race and made the decision to pit because, NASCAR said one to go and then lightning struck, and we all know that deal. So this was an opportunity, guys, for Kurt Busch to prove a point, and he got to Kyle, and he did not wreck him.
No.
But they ran each other really, really hard, and afterward, Kurt was ecstatic, and Kyle was Kyle.
I loved it. As soon as they lined up for the last restart and Kurt was sitting fourth, second row outside, I looked at my TV screen and I said, Kurt Busch is going to win this race because the momentum on the outside combined with a hot-headed Kurt Busch and a driver who was motivated from a win that should have been his and wasn't, that was a recipe for get out of my way, I'm coming through.
Okay. So
wait, did your TV screen respond? I'm just curious.
No, it didn't.
Mike Joy didn't talk to you back?
Technically it did because he went and won the race.
That's true.
Mike Joy was enjoying a beer in front of his TV set probably with DW. Okay, so here's my question to go around the table with. Randy, with this win, is Kurt Busch now a legitimate threat to go all the way to Homestead and win the championship? Yes or no?
No, not to go all the way to Homestead. He obviously, I feel like he was a threat to at least make the playoffs. He already did that now, but I still think he still has a high mountain to climb in order to get around the JGR cars. So I don't think he's a threat to make it into the Final Four quite yet. But if he keeps putting on performances like he put on Saturday night, then we might be talking about another different situation in a couple of weeks.
Jacob, yes or no?
Hell yes, he's a threat. Two reasons. Number one.
I think that's like a stronger version of yes.
Number one.
He's violent tonight.
Yes on steroids?
Yes. Well,
yes plus.
Yes.
Okay, can I finish now?
Our grammar is being swept under the floor here today.
Number one.
So is his attitude.
It's like a computer. Jacob's, rebooting is just spreading.
No,
it's a virus.
I'm not rebooting. I just can't get a word in edgewise. All right.
Go ahead, Jacob.
They gave him an upgrade, too, a lot more RAM and stuff, too. But,
okay, Jacob, go ahead.
Number one.
That's it. You're done.
Segment's over. Time's up.
Okay.
Kurt Busch is fired. Kurt Busch is fired up at this point.
Yeah.
Because I believe that team is peaking at the right time. They're starting to hit their stride right now, and I do believe, like you said, they're on an upward trajectory, and it's going to keep going up. But number two, look at the last three races. Look at what manufacturer has been in victory lane each of the last three races: Chicago, Daytona, Kentucky. Bowtie Brigade. Chevrolet has finally, I think, gotten their arms around A, the package, and B, the Camaro. It's taken them a year and a half, but I believe they're there. I don't believe this is over, and I believe that Chevrolet is going to have a lot to say as we get closer to these playoffs, and Kurt Busch's win on Saturday night was just the beginning.
I'm surprised you didn't forget your thought with all the interruptions we gave you.
Blake.
I like the Chevys doing better. They might be a threat in playoffs, but I don't think Kurt Busch is there right now. I don't think Kurt Busch is going to Homestead in the championship picture. I also feel like my favorite that I picked earlier this year is still the favorite. I actually pick his brother, Kyle Busch. Them Joe Gibbs cars have been strong all year. I don't think Chevy. Penske might put up a run, but I don't think nobody's touching Martin Truex or Kyle Busch going into Homestead.
Murdoch? Yes or no?
Right manufacturer, wrong driver. The guy you should really be watching out for is a guy who has come on strong in the back half of the season, and he showed a lot of poise in the first half of the season. The driver you should watch out for, yes, he drives a Chevy. No, he's not Kurt Busch. It's Alex Bowman.
Okay, well, that's another question. But to stay on topic for Kurt Busch, I absolutely believe Kurt Busch is a threat to win the championship. In fact, I would almost dare say that of all the drivers right now that we all talk about, the Gibbs cars, the Penske cars, Kurt Busch has been doggone near the most consistent all year long. I mean, look, Kurt Busch is fired up. The last time Kurt Busch got this fired up, he won the championship.
You're gonna say Kurt Busch is the most consistent driver against the guy who literally finished second 3 weeks in a row?
Look at Alex, but Alex Bowman has not always been that good, and I'm not saying Bowman won't get to Homestead. I'm only saying that to discount Kurt Busch as much speed as he's had in that car all season long, and the fact that now they've won a race so they know they can do it, Kurt Busch could be the driver that comes out of the second half of the season and gets on the run to push himself into the playoffs in very good position. And the reason I say that is because Stuart Haas right now showing nothing. Zero. Nothing. I wonder if any of those cars honestly are going to win. And if they're going to win, they're not going to win much. There aren't that many races left before the playoffs. No momentum there. Hendrick, I feel like they're coming. Bowman is the one that stands out to me. I think Byron will win a race, but maybe Johnson. But I don't feel like that's that team, that whole group yet. So I think Kurt Busch comes out of the pack where you've got one team, and you said it, and it's Toyota, that they really got to watch for, and maybe Joey Logano. I'm not on the Keselowski bandwagon here yet. I think Kurt Busch could be a real surprise down the stretch here. There's no track he's not good at.
Before I go on about Kurt Busch being fired up, my favorite thing of the weekend was...
Save that. We got to take a break. We'll get to it in the next segment and start with it. Back with his favorite thing of the weekend and a lot more right after this on Lead Lap.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper cars, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay.
Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now.
Totally. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouspeak.com.
Hi, I'm Matt Tift, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to Lead Lap as we continue with our motorsports conversation. We've been talking Cup, but I want to give Blake an opportunity to talk about his favorite thing of the weekend and we can all go around the table with that because that was going to be a lightning round question, but
people keep ruining it.
Yes, that's cool. That's all right. I don't mind where we put things in the show as long as we're rolling here. So Blake, go ahead, start us off.
I loved what they did after the race. Him and the crew all riding on the car together to victory lane, kind of like something Davey Allison used to do, and especially it being 26 years on the day that when Davey passed away. I feel like that was kind of a tribute to Davey of what they did, and I absolutely loved it.
It was a great moment. Okay, now the rule here is favorite thing of the weekend can be anything from any series or track at all.
Oh, wow.
Jacob? If you don't go where I think you're going, I'll be shocked.
Somebody needs a reboot.
No. When he opened it up to any series, it kind of made me stop because it's like,
okay.
I wish he'd have clarified
While Jacob is getting his brain together, I'm going to do what he would have done if he had thought about this. Well, I guess he has been thinking about it. My favorite thing of this weekend was seeing Robert Wickens back out on the track at Toronto in the pace car, hand controls. The crowd went nuts. He was just electric. I mean, he was getting that thing around. He really I think he wanted to take a lap in race trim.
Yes.
But it just was a great feel-good story. And we'll get to the IndyCar race in a moment. But I just thought, to me, my favorite thing of the weekend was seeing that happen because it really shows you how far he's come in his recovery. And it gives us hope that maybe someday, perhaps, he might be able to walk again and get back into, into a car
Can we just
again.
marvel for a minute, by the way, at the technological genius of the folks at Aero Electronics to outfit that NSX, that Acura NSX
that was incredible.
With the hand controls that he used. I mean, I did get to see, I think during pre-race, it was either pre-race or maybe the day before when they were talking to him about it, they actually got to show a glimpse of the actual mechanisms inside the car that he used, and it was badass. I think is an understatement, just of how they had it wired for him to be able to do what he did. And yes, he wanted so badly to turn it loose. I think at Toronto too, in front of his home fans.
Well,
no less.
They asked him before he went out if he was gonna go fast or just, and he said, well, it depends on what my passenger wants to do.
Which, by the way, his passenger was his fiancé. So.
Can we marvel at his command, too? Drivers who will futurely be driving for me, start
your
engines.
Exactly. Yeah,
I love it.
It was great. So that's my favorite thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
That and there's nothing that's going to top that. My brain didn't immediately jump to that because I was thinking races on the racetrack, as opposed to guy pacing the race.
Okay.
But yes, that wins everything for me. But as far as racing on the racetrack, my favorite thing this weekend, and I can't believe I'm saying this, came from Formula One.
Oh boy!
Can you believe that?
I miss?
Oh, only the greatest on-track,
okay,
greatest on-track battle Formula One has seen in the last decade. Charles Leclerc versus Max Verstappen for about 25 laps in that race was the most epic clash of the young titans thing I've seen. My God, those two are going to be something fantastic.
Can we say young titans? Okay.
Yes.
Haven't I been saying for how many years on these shows F1 needs more youth? And there you go.
Leclerc's defense versus Verstappen's offense.
Yep.
And, Max tried every trick in the book to get by him, and for the longest time could not do it. It took strategy between the Red Bull teammates and Leclerc getting hosed by Ferrari's pit strategy for Max to ultimately end up ahead of him. But yet at the end of the day, Leclerc still ends up back on the podium, which for me was poetic justice because Charles deserved a podium in that race. I know we were going to get to this eventually. Lewis Hamilton should not have won that race, but God bless him for catching a caution. You can't fault him for that. I mean, that was, he was hoping for a wreck, and Antonio Giovinazzi wrecked and handed him a race on a silver platter.
Sure did.
And now the conversation about race wins starts because he's up to 80 now, and that Schumacher
Again, what did I say?
That Schumacher threshold gets closer and closer and closer now.
What did I say? He's not going to lose a race the rest of the year. I'm telling you.
But he
not
did
gonna
lose
happen.
last week to
Yes,
Max.
he did. Yes.
A couple years ago, I feel like a couple years ago, before he really started his hot streak, I was thinking Vettel might be up there, but now it's kind of
it's Lewis.
When he was driving for
Lewis
Red Bull.
is, and look, as far as I'm concerned, he deserves all the accolades he gets. He's a great driver. Okay, Randy, favorite thing of the weekend?
I'm going to say the Cup race. More specifically, the fact that Eric Jones finished third, which is he needed a really good a really good run.
It was a boost
in order to get the momentum that he needs. Because right now, of course, he's the lowest guy on the totem pole over there. But just the entire way that whole last overtime finish played out with the Busch brothers and Eric Jones being third. That's what every NASCAR fan wants: is the excitement and the drama of the not knowing who was going to win. And if you came out of that weekend not being a fan of that, then why are you even watching motorsports?
I would submit that was the greatest race overall of the entire season so far.
I'd like to have an on-track there, too, just for my good friend.
Quickly, and we'll get
Trent
to Chris.
Ivy, good friend of mine, second ever Super
local
win,
dirt.
winning $10,000, holding off Brandon Overton at his home track, Cherokee Speedway, last night, the Southern Nationals race at Cherokee Speedway.
Good run for Trent, yes. And we're going to talk to you about local dirt stuff here in a moment. I think that if there were to be a second...
Okay, since you went over me.
I didn't go over you.
He thought about coming to you, and then
he was leading to the
I want to
segue.
get this in before I throw it to you, because if I don't, then I probably won't, because I've got something else for next segment. If I could have a second greatest thing, Joe Gozick winning the Super Modified feature at Oswego. 40 years he's been racing there, 62 years old, still getting it done with kids half his age, for crying out loud, and wins it for his friend Bobby Smith, who passed away between his last win and this one. Dedicated the win to Smitty. Smitty's son works on Joe's pit crew. Just a huge and very, very popular win for 00 Joe Gozick at Oswego. Chris Murdoch, your favorite thing of the weekend?
There's hope for us all.
Yes. Not for me.
Stone Cold.
Say again?
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold?
Oh, I see what you did there.
I see what you did.
Yeah.
And he took a dive off the
okay,
the
yeah.
door.
If I
Someone
could,
please
if I
explain
could
to me what this is here.
Yes.
If I could have a second,
I can't believe you wouldn't know.
If I could have a second favorite thing, just for the humor in it, Cole Custer falling off his car in victory lane and landing smack on his butt.
By smashing beers together.
Oh, okay. I missed that. I heard Stone Cold. I'm like, I seen his Area
He got
50
excited for a second. He's like, wait a minute. I don't even know
I
what's
seen
going
his
on here.
Area 51 meme. That's all I seen out of Stone Cold this weekend.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great,
he smashed the Busch cans
I love it.
in victory lane, and then lost his balance and fell off.
When I won a race,
he fell on his ass.
My
by the way.
first win,
It's like smooth
I
out.
remember when I was little running Young Guns. I was like 14. I was a wrestling fan. I had 2 waters. I did that in victory lane, I guess, because I was
Did you
a
fall
kid.
on your butt?
No, I,
Okay.
I
on
was
his head.
standing dead center in the roof.
He
so.
fell on his head.
This,
So
by
that's
the way,
difference.
is the second time that Cole Custer slipped at victory lane. After he won his first race at Homestead, he ended up he was up on top of the car and slid down. But he didn't actually fall off the car.
But if you're going to fall
think
Oh,
anywhere,
yeah, he fell
races he's
off
won.
the car this time.
You would think after the amount of races he's won, he'd get the footing down at some point.
He's only won 7. He's only won 7 of them.
As
It would
many
take
as Austin
it would take
Dillon
one
has
of
won.
me falling off the car to say, okay, I'm not doing that again.
As many as Austin Dillon's one, he still hasn't got the grass slide down.
Yeah.
I feel like.
If you're going to fall on your butt anywhere on a racetrack, I'd rather do it in victory lane.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, that was fun. And again, I think Cole is another one of these drivers that is sort of snuck up on people. I feel like he's getting more and more popular. He's getting more and more fans as he goes in the Xfinity Series, and it comes back to what we've talked about in the past, that some of these kids get to the National Series before they have a bona fide fan base built up, and it takes a couple, 3 years for the fans at the national level to kind of get used to them and get to know them a little bit. And I feel like Custer's a guy with a bigger sort of personality who is sort of the, I don't want to say hell-raising, but he's kind of that type of an individual that that I feel like will fit the Kevin Harvick or whoever. He's, so I think Custer's got a good career ahead of him here, and I think he's showing it this year in the Xfinity Series that he is a force to be reckoned with. And depending on what happens next year in Cup, if he does go to Cup and it's with a satellite team, then it'll be probably a learning year for him, and we'll be watching him kind of under the radar a little bit. If he ends up in a Stewart-Haas car by whatever situation that would develop to put him there, then I think he becomes a threat almost immediately. So we'll just have to see what happens. We're going to step aside one more time. When we come back, we're going to talk some dirt with this guy, Blake Harris, on the local side here in the Carolinas, and we've still got a lightning round to go, so don't go anywhere. Lead Lap will continue, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. Find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit coopercorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves a majority of NASCAR, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schubert helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Valero fireproof underwear, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the staff at HMS is always ready to take the time and help you find the right product for your specific safety needs. You have family and friends who care about you, so don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Just stop in to HMS Motorsport, visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com, or send them a message on Facebook. Tell them the folks from Race Chaser Media sent you.
Hi, this is John Andrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Riley Herbst, and you're listening to Race Talk on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to Lead Lap Radio and TV. We are live on the Race Chaser Media Twitch.tv channel. We are also live on the radio side on the Performance Motorsports Network. That is the PMN radio app. And in addition to our main sponsor, HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety, we also have two other sponsors that are really prominent members of our motorsports family here. We just want to give a nod to mycomputercareer.edu, training for a better life. If you are looking for a career change or something different to do, IT might be that career change that you need, you can just go to their website, mycomputercareer.edu, take a free career evaluation test. If IT appears that it's something that you'd like to do, then there is financial aid available if you qualify, including the GI Bill. You can do it either online or at one of their 7 campuses across the country. Not even have to do it full time. You can do it a few days a week, and in as little as 4 months, you could be ready for one of the many, many, many open positions that exist right now for IT and cybersecurity. And yes, My Computer Career does have job placement available. They work with hundreds of employers to try and get you placed. So they are the real deal, My Computer Career. And we also want to thank Chip Lofton and the folks from strutmasters.com. And we're going to tell you more about them here in a little bit. But right now, I want to talk some dirt track. We don't get to do that a whole lot on the show. We're going to start doing more of it. We have Blake Harris, who is the host of the Southeastern Race Review, very popular show here in the Carolinas region. Blake, I'm curious, how do you feel about the state of dirt track racing here in the region? Because we know that it seems like on the pavement side, you know, there's kind of a lot of turmoil that's gone on the last year or two with car counts and rules and all of that, especially in the late models. What is happening on the dirt side? I feel like there's some good things and maybe, you know, some not so good things.
Well, we have the same thing like you're talking about. We have the rules turmoils and the car counts going down. That's just because the cost of the sport kind of grows, and the new generation ain't really interested.
Somebody else needing a reboot.
I need to reboot.
MyComputerCareer.edu, ladies and gentlemen. You can have 2 people to reboot now. That's a raise for somebody who wants a new career.
I also feel like it's not really in too bad of a state, though, because all the local tracks I went to this weekend, of course, Friendship, we had our first race under new ownership on Friday. I announced that. The stands were crowded. We had 80 cars for the first time running on Fridays. So I also feel like East Lincoln on Saturday had a good bit. Both having new surfaces. They both laid clay down the past week, so I feel like they were both good racing. And, of course, last night at Cherokee, they had the $10,000 Win Southern Nationals Series race. The series coming around the Southeast here in the next 2 weeks with super late model racing. Of course,
I was going to say, you got to explain.
And, of course, North Carolina's own Ray Cook is promoter of that series, former dirt late model racer himself. Trent Ivey, a guy who started out through the ranks at Cherokee Speedway running Young Guns, former track champion in crate late models.
He's a good young racer.
Had his second ever super late model win and his highest paying win ever, $10,000 last night. 53 laps holding off a hot shoe around the Carolinas and basically all the country in super late models, Brandon Overton. So it was greatly a good win. I am stuttering like crazy, folks. You got to hang with me here. But it was a great time.
Slow down.
Basically everybody from the pit area. I was from here to about the wall over there from Trent's car, and all the people swarming him. You couldn't even see any spot on the car. We had to get everybody moved so we can climb out of the car. It was just a great thing to happen. But
I love seeing that.
All the support classes, all your local classes, was really good this weekend. Put on some great racing. So I feel like, yes, it's down from how it was, say, in the 90s, early 2000s, but I wouldn't say it's too bad off. I still say it is doing pretty decent.
That's good. I like seeing that. I feel like, and it's good to see Friendship under new ownership because that's a track that's had some issues. You know, and it's never a good idea, or it's never fun to see a track close. It's really good to see one reopen. Friendship reopened. We had a track up in New York State that had been closed for about 30 years that just ran a race this past week as well, a dirt track. I feel like the dirt tracks are starting to sort of catch fire again because it seems like there's more options on dirt that are, you know, more choices that are sort of economical in comparison, of course. Nothing's cheap to race anymore except maybe a U-car. But, you know, in comparison, I feel like some of the late model series are doing pretty well. We got a modified series or two that seems to be, you know, sometimes I feel like there's too many series and it gets confusing and just splits the car count on the dirt side. You know, everybody who's running their own late model series or crate late model series or whatever, I think sometimes there's too many, but you know, I do feel like that the tracks themselves, it seems like the crowds and such are starting to really come back with some of the tracks. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, they're starting to come back, but also, yes, we're talking about NASCAR's Tennis kind of declined, but there's also a dirt influence kind of heading up in there. That's kind of you've seen kind of spark back up here recently, and this season you've had Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, all coming from that dirt track influence, and especially like you were talking about, Tony Stewart coming back to the dirt tracks this Friday night brought a good bit of fans out. They loved it. It's kind of that influence now with all these big names coming back to their roots at the dirt tracks that are really getting the fans back interested. And especially in a couple weeks, dirt's going to be live stream or mainstream at Eldora with the truck. So I feel like dirt is kind of making a resurgence, trying to reel themselves in with NASCAR and the bigger stuff.
And by the way, can we send some props to NBC as well for their grassroots racing campaign?
Yes.
I mean, I think that is awesome because to be able to give just moments of exposure for some of these tracks and drivers. I mean, I guess they had a little segment on Oswego and the Super Modifieds last week and showed Michael Barnes and Victory Lane from last week's feature, and talking about those kinds of divisions and all of that in front of a national audience. We need that. We need for NASCAR to get back to where it influences all the way down to the short track level. And I feel like we're slowly starting to see that. But I love that NBC, as I guess a network, if you want to say, with the motorsport side of things, I love that they have committed to doing this grassroots thing every week and highlighting some of the short track stuff and giving the tracks away to be a part of that, because sometimes all it can take is just one person seeing that go, oh, I want to go see that, and the next thing you know, they're a sponsor or whatever. So that's how we grow the interest again from the ground up, and I love that NBC Sports is doing that.
And they didn't start small either. 500 tracks they've a part of now, including some around here. Cherokee did it Sunday. Us at East Lincoln that announced how Saturday nights have it as well. So I know a lot of other tracks have it around here, especially in the Carolinas. 500 tracks, whether it be asphalt or dirt, they're kind of coming back to that grassroots racing, and especially how NASCAR tried to do. I didn't say touched a great job of it. The NASCAR home tracks thing they did a while back, trying to talk to drivers about where they're from and all that. I feel like taking it back to the roots and how NASCAR got started, how these drivers got started, is a great way to get the local fan back up into the product.
I know, too, that I know Chicagoland is working with, I think it's Grundy County, in a lot of cross-promotion. New Hampshire Motor Speedway is doing cross-promotion in a lot of the tracks up there. Again, that's what we need. We need for it to become all one sport again. And we need for the big things to lift up the small things so that everybody gets a little more publicity, and I think that's great.
Of course, I like what they did last year. Jacob, you might help me. Was it the Brickyard or Indy 500? They did the Brian Clausen race with the midgets in the infield.
That was the 400. That was
I loved how they had the midgets.
Are they doing that again?
Yes, absolutely.
I love how they do that in the infield, kind of bring the dirt drivers to the big stage of Indianapolis when the big cup races there as well.
I agree. I mean, I think, this is more what motorsports needs to be in the modern age, and there's all kinds of technology and platforms to do these sorts of things. And like I said, bravo to NBC, because when they first did that, I was a little confused what it was they were trying to accomplish with it. But once I realized it was an effort to just highlight, and as you say, now everybody at East Lincoln's going to be paying attention to see if they get a mention. That's,
absolutely.
So it brings new fans back into, because look, they think we're okay to be, given 30 seconds of fame on NBC Sports or whatever.
And I know there's a lot of people in the indie world up there that are really trying to push for a triple header, putting the dirt, the IndyCar, and the Cup on the same weekend.
Wow. I don't know
I
how
like
you would
it,
do
but
that.
it would be a cluster.
I mean, at the Brickyard, I don't know. I mean,
maybe
I think
RP in the
they were
Brickyard.
wanting to do the Indy Grand Prix and the Brickyard in the same weekend.
See, I would be all for that because I hate the Grand Prix being before the 500. And I think that would be the only way you could do it, because you couldn't run both on the oval. So you'd have to have a separate. But that would be interesting. Now that to me would make the 4th of July at the Brickyard worth having on that date if you put the Indy Grand Prix in there, because now you've got...
you put the dirt track in there.
Right. Now you've got a motorsports buffet, so to speak, and I think that could be something interesting to pay attention to.
I still don't like they messed with tradition at Daytona, though. They tried that at Darlington, and it didn't work. I still feel like they
See, I
don't think
it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a big deal at all. Again, people are going to go to Daytona whenever it's running. That's going to be that race being the final race of the regular season is going to be awesome next year, because it's like scrambling eggs. You never know what that's going to do to the playoff picture, and that's exactly the way NASCAR wanted it. So I think it's going to be great. We're going to step aside when we come back, the lightning round, and we'll talk some IndyCar to start that off, because I got a question for the panel. And you're listening to or watching Lead Lap, and we shall be right back.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up! You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math and science person. No problem, and no excuses, because it's not rocket science. It's My Computer Career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Jesse Love, and you're listening to Race Chaser Radio. Now back to the show.
Hang on a minute. Are we sure that was Jesse Love and not Danny Sullivan?
I do want to point out for the people on the video, everybody was ready to come back from break except Tom.
I was still enjoying the music.
My point stands, though. Jesse Love pulled a Danny Sullivan.
Jesse Love did pull a Danny Sullivan.
If you want a visual about what just happened, think about William Byron and jumping the restart or whatever he tried to do on Saturday night.
I didn't.
Jesse Love was also the youngest person to win the Gerhardt Classic.
He was.
Yes, he was.
I was talking about he spun and then he won.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, he spun and turned around, won the thing in in the midget, and really, I mean, that's a huge win for him at this stage of his career, and with all of the rainouts that he's had and some of the bad luck he's had and some of the divisions that he's been racing in this year, for him to go out and put that thing in victory lane against some of the best there is in that form of racing, I really think is a confidence boost for the rest of the season, because now Jesse is reminded, hey, I can, go out and win. I think it won't be too long before we see him win a Power I race.
Can I make it an additional point to give? I'm going to throw a gratuitous plug here that's more for Jesse's sake than it is for mine. Over the past week or so, because before he went and ran the pavement midget at Madeira on Saturday night, he ran 5 races in 6 nights in the dirt sprint car up in Northern California and Oregon, and doggone nearly got a win the night before on Friday night at Cottage Grove. And for those who don't know Jesse, you need to get to know Jesse. He's been doing a diary series to kind of let fans inside his head a little bit through sprintcarandmidget.com. Just spell it out. It's pretty simple, I promise.
I think we got it.
And it's a really cool deal. I've gotten to talk to him a little bit, and getting inside his head after the Gerhardt Classic win on Saturday night. That piece actually just went up today. It's a really good read, and just a fun deal.
He's a good racer, and again, if you're wondering who he is, JesseLoveRacing.com. He is arguably the next Christopher Bell. That's kind of the trajectory that he's following, and he loves the open wheel stuff, just like Chris does, and running for Keith Coons and several other top car owners in different series right now at 14 years old, and doing a lot of things that most 14-year-olds just simply couldn't do. So
Mike Nake, Harley Van Dyke, Keith Coons,
Chris Van Dyne. I mean, that's
Trace Van Dyne.
Or Trace Van. Where did I get Chris? Trace Van Dyne.
Yeah, you're looking at Chris.
Well,
that's how that works.
For some reason,
you were just thinking about Christopher Bell.
There's a Chris Van Dyne somewhere in my life that just went. I just went there, but anyways, yeah, it's really going to be an interesting second half of the summer, I think, for Jesse, because he's now with this win. It just elevates that.
Right.
And
yes, it was in the midget on pavement and not dirt, but it's a confidence booster
all
the same.
It's a big race.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what it was. It's a big race, and he's had a lot of near misses this year.
He has,
that he could have won, and so good deal for Jesse. Okay, lightning round IndyCar, which Jesse would love to race someday.
Yes.
Okay, so yes or no? With the win at Toronto, is Simon Pagenaud a serious contender for the championship of the IndyCar Series this year?
There's another reboot.
No. If he keeps his foot on the throttle, absolutely he's a threat, but he cannot have this win and then fall off the map for 2 or 3 weeks again. He's got to keep his foot on the gas, try and put pressure on Rossi and Newgarden's throats. Yes, Simon's a contender right now. He has to keep right now going. And the good news is we're going to Iowa, which is a place that Simon Pagenaud has been tremendously good at over the years.
Randy?
I agree with Jacob. Right now needs to become right now, right later, right tomorrow, right next week, right 3 races from now. He needs to continue doing what he's doing, because if he loses his footing again, then he's going to have to basically start over again like he did after Indy.
And there's not enough races left.
Exactly. Right.
There's only 6 races.
That's what I was going to say. There's only 6
for the
left.
record, those of you who watched the show on Thursday, I picked Scott Dixon, and he almost won the race.
Almost.
Almost
by
only
the
counts
way,
in horseshoes and
I
hand
know.
grenades.
I want to make a quick point here that Simon Pagenaud still being in the fight in third in points is pretty remarkable, if you ask me, because he has 3 wins this year, but in 11 races, those are the only 3 times he's been on the podium at all. He's been remarkably inconsistent, and yet still somehow is third in points within a race of the championship.
That sounds
league.
really similar to other series that we talk about
Yes,
on this
it
show
does.
all the time.
He's been just good enough, just enough.
Yes.
That's why I asked,
Yes.
does this make him a serious contender for the championship?
He better not slip again. He can't
Blake,
slip
you want to
again.
offer?
Yes, I feel like he cannot slip again, but I also feel like Simon Pagenaud, of anybody, I feel like he has that high at the Indy. He's coming off that win this past weekend, but he also, like he said, is going into Iowa. I feel like Pagenaud will be a real threat to challenge Newgarden and Rossi coming up near the end of the season.
Yeah, he's never won at Iowa, by the way, but he's been in the top 8 5 times in 7 career starts there.
Yeah.
He's good there.
Murdoch, you want to? Okay, we'll leave Murdoch out of this for the moment. I'll go and simply say no. Simon Pagenaud is not going to run for the championship for exactly the reason you just said, because it's either checkers or I don't want to say wreckers because he doesn't crash, but it's either checkers or it's just not good at all for Simon Pagenaud. The consistency's missing, and I don't believe that Pagenaud is going to win enough races over the course of the next handful of races to make up the ground, because for him to do that, he's got to count on both Rossi and Newgarden stumbling enough to let him back in the door. And so I'm saying absolutely not. Simon Pagenaud is not a serious contender for the championship, and I can't believe I'm saying it about a guy that's won 3 races. I just don't see the guys in front of him all being that bad over the course of 6 races to let him make up all that ground.
Exactly.
That's my point.
Especially the 27 and the 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a 2-man race for the championship right now. And I still say somehow at the end, Alex Rossi's going to pull this off. But, I don't really think that we're to a point yet where I can say that with a lot of confidence, because, again, Newgarden is just everywhere he goes, he's good, but so is Rossi.
Right.
Every once in a while, one of them will slip or have a bad day or whatever, but Dixon's had some bad days. So I don't think Scott's a contender for the championship, despite the fact that he's still in the top 5. I think it's a 2-man race. And any thought that anybody had about Will Power having a strong finish to the season, I think that kind of went out the window as well.
Ouch. Yeah. No, it went out of the window 3 weeks ago. You're just now catching up.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's just say that the icing went on the cake this past weekend, because he did not have a good race yesterday. And I'm saying 2-man horse race at this point. And personally, I love this because I think IndyCar, there hasn't been a season of IndyCar where we've had just 2 in a while, where we've had 2 obvious drivers that every week you go into the next race going, these 2 are the 2 you got to beat. We've had many seasons in a row, I feel like, where we've got, we've had 4 or 5 drivers that could win the championship. I love the fact that this year it's going to come down to probably the Newgarden or Rossi. I think it makes the last, handful or 6 races much more intriguing because it's a battle just between those 2, And
it's not down to those 2 yet, but if anybody besides those 2 is gonna have a shot, they better win like 2 or 3 of the next 6 races.
Well, and you've got to count on those 2. If they finish second, third, I don't know that you make up enough ground to really.
Well, keep in mind it's 10 points from first to second. Minimum.
Yeah, but
so you just by winning you can make up a lot of ground, but for somebody like Scott Dixon, he has to who's almost 100 points back.
This is what I'm saying.
He's got the only person who can win 2-3 races and have a shot is Pagenaud at this point.
Yeah, I mean, well, and there again, he's got to count on neither of those guys, because again, if you're only making up 10 at a time, that's 60 points.
Simon's only 34
I know,
points out.
But that's what I'm saying. In best case, if you win them all and they finish second.
If Simon wins them all, he wins the championship.
Right.
He's only 39 points out.
Best case.
Right.
We know that ain't going to happen. So you're not going to win them all.
No.
Nobody's going to win out. There's too many fast horses right now. If I had to pick one, like I said, I still think eventually Rossi's going to emerge and win this championship. But I'll tell you what, Newgarden's not going to make it easy on him.
No,
I mean,
separated by 4 points at this juncture. I mean,
what a battle.
I would love to see it personally come down to be, the final race being within 10 points and have to see one of those 2 win at Laguna Seca to win the championship. Oh, and there's that variable, too. Laguna Seca's back.
Well, and see, there's another thing, neutral track. You know, I mean, that's going to be the wild card that could stir
For
the drink.
everybody not named Scott Dixon.
Well, yeah, but that's why I believe that we're at a point where I think we see a two-man race, and I still think Rossi could win it. And I can't believe we're almost out of town.
I know. I'm sad. But then again, this is what happens when you put all of us in a room for 2 hours. We waste a lot of time and sometimes talk about racing. Now I'm going to talk about my computer crew, HMS Motorsport, and Strutmasters.com, who combined to help make this show possible. So we thank them for their efforts.
Thank you all.
Particularly HMS for their presenting sponsorship of this show. Visit them on the web, hmsmotorsport.com. Right now, though, for Randy Miller, Tom Baker, Blake Harris. It's nice having Blake in studio tonight. That was fun.
We'll do more with Blake as we go.
Yes, and Chris Murdoch behind the glass can still kill me for forgetting about him. I'm Jacob Seelman. Keep it off the wall. If you're headed to a racetrack this weekend, we might just see you there. Have a safe racing weekend. Good night.
You've been listening to Lead Lap Radio powered by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com. Lead Lap Radio is a Race Chaser Media production. For more exciting and passionate motorsport content, follow Race Chaser Media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and visit racechasermedia.com. The opinions expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff, management, affiliates, or marketing partners of Race Chaser Media. No part of this show may be reproduced in any manner without the expressed written consent of Race Chaser Media. Thank you for listening.